Rage Against the Machine is basically Total Drama Island for neckbeards. Hey, how's it going? My name is Dan Frampton. Thank you so much for clicking on to today's video and kicking back with me here today to discuss some Rage Against the Machine drama. Now, as sure as Rage Against the Machine exists, so will drama. Drama has followed these guys around their entire career. Now, we gotta set up a little bit of context all the way to the point to the most recent drama that is going down with this band. Now, I'm gonna kind of hopefully speed run through their career a little bit here just to pinpoint the areas where the drama might occur and the kind of patterns that have developed through the years with this band. But the whole thing is that the band is kind of like breaking up again and nobody is surprised. Everybody's like, yeah, it was shocking that you guys were back together to begin with. The whole breakup thing is the part that we expected. But back in the early 90s, Zach De La Rocha was in a hardcore band called Inside Out. And after Inside Out ran its course, Zach De La Rocha started Rage Against the Machine with Tom Morello, Brad Wilk, and Tim Comerford. I always call him Tim Cumberland, which is why I look down to read it. Tim Comerford. But Rage Against the Machine storm onto the scene and they're very political. They're doing a whole rap rock thing that is kind of novel at the time. They're way ahead of the nu metal curve. It's riffy, it's bouncy, it's energetic. It has that kind of hardcore energy, but packaged kind of like funk actually. And I think internally they kind of want it to be Led Zeppelin meets Public Enemy. So just the nature of how political and volatile these human beings are just as people, okay? How opinionated and outspoken everyone is only a recipe for a two cooks in the kitchen type explosion. But in the 90s, nobody was sniffing that out. They were just loving some Rage Against the Machine. And then the 2000s hit. And that's when Zach leaves the band because he feels the decision-making process has failed. Now, normally bands cite creative differences. I like how Zach is citing decision-making processes because they were walking that tight rope. They kind of wanted to be the anti-capitalist communist voice of the people kind of thing, but they were also a major record label band. So that they had to make decisions with a whole lot of foresight and as a cohesive unit. And if any bit of that breaks down, then that house of cards is surely gonna crumble. And speculation was that Zach left because of the stunt pulled at the MTV Music Awards when the bass player, that Comerford guy, while Fred Durst was accepting an award on stage. But it's important to note that Rage Against the Machine didn't break up. Zach left, and there were reports of violent confrontations amongst the band backstage, and considering those reports, they kept it pretty professional in front of cameras and in interviews. And it was crazy. Zach leaving the band coincided with the release of their covers album. So it was weird to promote this record that Zach was no longer a part of anymore, even though he was so much on the record. And then reports are swirling. Oh my God, the Rage Against the Machine boys are out there looking for a singer. They're trying out everybody. They're bringing in Chuck D. They're bringing in the Cypress Hill guy, Be Real, all right? They're like, okay, we gotta be Rage Against the Machine. But you know who they went with? Chris Cornell, R.I.P. legend. And they formed Audioslave with this guy. And Audioslave is a much different band than Rage Against the Machine. Audioslave would go for a couple years, they would break up in 2007, and then Rage Against the Machine would reunite to play Coachella. And they weren't really doing the whole we're a band thing again. They weren't gonna get a manager. They weren't gonna go on the road and do the whole thing. They were just gonna play a couple shows and have fun. So that wasn't built to last. They broke up again. Zach De La Rocha started a band called One Day Is a Lion, and to this day I still haven't heard. I should get around to that one day, huh? And then more years would keep going by, and in 2016 the rest of the band members, minus Zach De La Rocha, started the band again, but this time they called it Prophets of Rage, and they had the Cypress Hill guy and the Public Enemy guy. And that was all fine and dandy, fun under the sun type stuff, but it wasn't built to last either. And in 2019, I guess all the creative juices were really flowing that these guys were so stoked that Rage Against the Machine announced a 2020 tour. The rock world rejoiced, okay? Oh my God, they're back together again. How could they do it? The drama, the tension, the violence. But then, of course, 2020 happened and everything canceled, so they canceled that. They postponed it until 2022 when the actual tour happens. Starts in July, and 2 days in, Zach De La Rocha blows out his Achilles tendon. But he's like, I'm not gonna let this slow me down. I'm gonna go out there Dave Grohl style and perform seated. He kept doing that for a little bit, but then was like, you know what? This actually sucks. Let's postpone the rest of these dates. So they took time off for Zach to heal up. And of course, Zach needed to heal up. You gotta do that. But this is where even more drama and tension starts to build up because fans start to see Zach De La Rocha out there doing other things. He's on this leg now. He seems healed. Where's the raid shows? And that leads the internet to speculate, all right, these guys aren't talking to each other behind the scenes anymore. I don't think we're getting these raid shows. But that was still just online speculation, you know? And then in November, the Hall of Fame incident occurred. Rage Against the Machine was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And only one member of the band showed up, and that was Tom Morello. And he got up there and did the most bootlicker speech that you could ever imagine, okay? But I'm not here to criticize him for that, really, you know what I mean? It's kind of an honor to be recognized in this capacity, I guess. But I do kind of side with the other members of the band. You kind of got to stand on your values when you're a values-driven band. Now, I know Tom Morello likes to be in the spotlight and wanted to give this little speech, but him being up there in Cleveland, Ohio, all by himself led to more speculation. Now people were pretty much certain that they weren't getting back together. Like, oh God, no. The Hall of Fame, this is not looking good. A few months rolled by, the new year rolled on, and then the drummer goes on to his Instagram account and posts this message here. This leads us to the current day drama. Now, I know I said I was going to speed run to get us here, but it turns out there's a whole lot of drama in this band, and I kind of did speed run through it. There's way more that I didn't even get to, that I know a whole bunch of people in the comments will be like, you forgot this, you forgot that. Whatever, bro. And I gotta say, I'm actually a little bit heartbroken to hear this. I'm not shocked or surprised, even a little bit, but I do want to live in a world where Rage Against the Machine exist and are out there performing shows. But Brad had this to say. I know a lot of people are waiting for us to announce new tour dates for all the canceled Rage Against the Machine shows. I don't want to string people along or myself along any further. So while there has been some communication that this may be happening in the future, I want to let you know that Rage Against the Machine, Tim, Zach, Tom, and I will not be touring or playing live again. I'm sorry for those of you who've been waiting for this to happen. I really wish it was. And even if these shows were to happen, it's not like I'm gonna go to any of these shows. But like I just said, I want to live in a world where Rage Against the Machine is raging against the machine. But again, this doesn't seem like a band statement. This seems like he's going into business for himself. And really, I can't imagine what it would be like to be in that volatile situation in a band that is that popular, that is that big, that has as many eyeballs on them as they do. But if history repeats itself, just give them a couple months, a couple years, and they're gonna reunite, you know what I mean? There is a pattern, there is a cycle with these guys. And if I've learned anything from anything, it's never say never. So let them just stew in their own corners for a little bit until they realize, okay, let's put on our big boy pants and go out there and rage against this machine a little bit. All right, I got through a whole drama video without tapping into that ruthless gatekeeper character. I gotta try to be a little bit more respectful going forward, okay? If you haven't checked out my second channel yet, go watch this video over here. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and until my next upload, watch another upload. All right, see you later.